are you tonight? Are you comfortable without a lawyer? You
Absolutely.
look a little nervous. Okay.
No.
Basic
It's
question.
past my bedtime.
That's mine too. It's at 9.
Your mic is a little messed up, Mike.
How's it now? I don't need a mic. I don't need a mic.
Rob, you need to for the recording, please.
All right, can you hear me now? Maybe if we save money elsewhere, we could fix these mics. Question. Who directed you, I want a specific answer, to do the work, the prep work up at the swim club? Donna who?
Vieira.
The ex-administrator?
Yes,
No one else?
correct.
No township committeeman ever came to you and asked you about to do this work or influence you in any way?
Donna asked me to do the work.
No one else? That's not the question. Did anyone else ask you to do the work too? Important question. You're under oath.
Yeah, I understand that. Once Donna directed me to start working on the project, I had a conversation with Eric about turf fields.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
He just asked, how are we doing with the turf fields?
Okay, so as far as you're aware, Township Committeeman was aware of what was going on up there.
Yes,
Okay. Did you ever work with Donna before?
yes,
Any problems with you and her where you worked before?
no,
Rules were followed, nothing like this went on?
no.
All right. Question again, and I'm not bringing this up out of vindictiveness, but I've heard it through the grapevine 1,000 times. Did you ever work on any committeeman's property?
No,
Are you aware of anyone on your staff that worked during your tenure or a previous tenure on any of the township committeeman's property?
we only work on our easements. If they go around the committeeman's property, that's all we do.
Backyards, grills, pavers, anything like that?
Never,
Any other citizen in Holmdel, do you do work on their property?
no,
Never.
no,
All right, so back again. Donna instructed you what to do, correct? But you did have input from a township committee member.
I just had a question I input. I don't know the
He
difference.
didn't give you any
really.
advice?
He asked how it was going.
So he knew about it.
Correct.
And on the plans, Donna is a sports aficionado, that she designed how these fields, the size and everything?
She got me the information.
As far as you know, is she a sports
And then-
aficionado or?
She may have played sports, I don't know how
No,
much
no,
about
no, but
sports.
as far as you know, is this like her cup of tea? She's an administrator. Do you think that an administrator, keep laughing in the audience there, how about a little decorum? Do you think that the administrator should be the one that's giving you direction on how to do a certain plan for a sports thing? You think that's in her role of expertise?
I really, it's kind of a combination of things. We, again, with working with Fran to come up with the boundaries of a field, and then working with Bob Ward on saying, do we need 2 tennis courts or 3? And then working with Musco, a vendor, co-op vendor for the lighting. If we're gonna have tennis courts, it has to be a certain candle power. And then if it's gonna be soccer or football or baseball, it's a different candle power. So I talked to those people to kind of get direction. Field turf, I spoke to them about the size of the field as well. And then after speaking with Jason and Tina, what size field could we put there?
All right, so again, I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm gonna. You were directed by the administrator to do all this work.
That's correct.
And at least one township committee member knew about the work going on there.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Follow up, Tom? Yep, okay. I have one other question, Victor. Why do we use the county for the roads?
Save money.
Okay. That's it. You're excused, Victor. Have a good night. I know you're here early. Appreciate your time and effort. Public comment. In the interest of a full crowd, we're going to limit it to 2 minutes tonight.
And just to note, that's the end of the investigatory proceedings, so
Yes.
public comments, the next item on the agenda, those proceedings are closed.
So before we go into public comment, I just want to make sure we're clear. So do we need a motion for the next meeting on the 23rd with the administrator?
I believe you guys by consensus agreed to schedule, but you're welcome to make a motion. then formalizes it.
All right.
Mike, do we, if we wanted to, there's possibly other names that we wanted to add, when would we be able to add those names to be subpoenaed?
You could certainly, we could discuss it in an executive session similar to the last time we did.
Okay, no problem.
Or we can add other names.
If the committee
Can it
directs,
be one of us?
I don't believe that the committee sitting as an investigative body, it would be my opinion that that would probably be outside the scope of.
We have to do each other?
I don't believe that would
Can
be
you check it
proper.
for us?
I certainly could.
Okay.
But I believe your scope is to investigate activities of the municipality, and so that would be agents of the municipality.
All right. I just make a motion for the meeting on the 23rd, just so it's formalized.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Catelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pasquini?
Yes.
Mayor Hine?
Yes. Public comment. 2 minutes, please.
When do you get a time for that meeting?
8 o'clock. Scott?
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive. The meeting on September 23rd, 2019 is with Donna Viero.
Correct.
Okay, since she's no longer an employee of the township, will this be held in public?
It'll be held in the same manner as this.
Okay, and we'll be able to ask any questions, or you'll be able to ask any questions necessary in this investigation.
The committee will have the power to ask questions similar to tonight.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Ralph?
Good evening. Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. Follow-up to a suggestion from 2 nights ago from Rocco with regard to an audit. I would support the suggestion that it go back beyond just the first of this year. In addition, there are many, I'm not an auditor, but there are many kinds of audits. So I don't know what you propose to ask whom to check. But for example, sometimes an audit may consist of comparing invoices with checks written.
So Ralph, let me get, if I know where you're going, I have a conference call scheduled with the chief, and we're gonna interview an auditor that has zero to do with Holmdel, and we're gonna go through everything. We're gonna do everything to make sure that if any process wasn't followed, the check will not be cut. And if checks were cut and the process wasn't followed, we're gonna make sure that we get that money back.
The key, what I was going to get at is the process, as was much discussed earlier tonight, that there are different categories of expenditures that the township can, sometimes it's a purchase, if it's over a threshold, you have to go through bidding. Employees, you don't approve every check to an employee for their pay. You approve a budget and you approve a staffing level. Something like professional services, I'm sure you don't require a resolution of the township committee for somebody to go and buy a box of Staples. There are a variety of thresholds. It's not clear to me when, for example, professionals should explicitly ask for approval. I don't know if you have a list of who needs to approve what in order for a service to be rendered and then the thing paid. But I think that's really what you want to ask the auditor to look at. Were things appropriately approved, whatever that process should be, and then expended? So there is some unclarity in my mind, for sure, as to who should be approving what when. So that's hopefully
Good,
that's
thank you
part
for
of
your
the
comment.
process.
Thank you, Ralph.
Just real quick, Mayor, we have an auditor, don't we?
We do.
We do have an auditor.
Sir?
My name is Sid Lieberman. I live on 24 Cindy Lane. I'm in Holmdel for 33 years. I believe that if Donna was here tonight and he would put in a bill, the first gentleman, she would approve it. That's how, I can't believe that I've been in the private sector, and anything that was any kind of an estimate, we had to get 3 approvals on who they were going to take. But this seems to be, I'm disappointed on how projects got done. And this one person from what I heard, is getting a nice severance package. She was out anywhere from 66 days to 88 days. And this thing has been going on for 2017 in an article that I read in the Independent. Matter of fact, from a young lady that's sitting here who wrote it. And I'm really disappointed that there wasn't more approval. I don't know who hired Donna, but she surely wasn't, I guess, trained on how to go to projects. I don't know what her background was. But now I hear there's a $3 million project, and if I heard correctly, a $12 million project that's up in the air. And I don't know how his company is locked into Holmdel without getting other estimates. And when I was in the private sector, we would get 3 estimates on any project we had, but we wouldn't pay for the estimates. They would give us proposals, and they would take us to lunch. But this seems to work backwards.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you.
I have a whole list, but
Thank you. Anyone else?
you're welcome.
My name is Agnes King. I live at 3 Cherry Hill Road, Holmdel. I'm in town for 43 years. I was under the impression when Joe Anacarico was the chief financial officer and the administrator that he could pay bills under $300. But those over $300, I can remember Joe sitting here and getting approval from the township committee. Was that so at that time, and now it's changed? Do any of you remember any of that? Because you're younger and maybe running around. Seriously.
That's a great question.
I don't know who Joe is.
Was there any way you could check the minutes or anything? I mean, way back. When, with Joe Anacarico? Anybody here remember anything like that at a town meeting?
Well, your question, Agnes.
All right, you just got to stay down. Thank you for your comment, Agnes. Thank you.
Good for Agnes.
Anybody else in the public?
There's a $3,500.
We don't want to know how long I lived in home.
My name is Steve Strickland. I live at 26 Hayward Hills Drive. I should point out that my property backs up to the swim club where this deal is to be located. This is a general question to the committee member. Has Donna Vieira or any other township administrator self-initiated projects on their own without any direction or approval by the township committee? And if so, what was the dollar value associated with those projects?
Mr. Mayor, you want us to answer?
You're not aware of any other projects that she
I'm not aware of any
self-initiated on her own?
project.
I think she's had a lot of initiatives, yes. I mean, the county paving was her initiative.
The
But
project.
she initiated and directed and ran without any approval from the township committee?
Of course, to the best of my ability, she followed the process.
Which would involve getting approval by the township committee. She wouldn't go off and spend $100,000 or $2.5 million, for example, on a project without any direction from the township committee?
Would hope not.
No, that's not true.
Also. Is there a dollar limit, formal or informal, on the size of items that can be inserted into the consent agenda?
Consent agenda, no, that's just a procedural tool that the committee uses to
I understand.
advance items. As a policy matter, you could certainly make a point regarding it, but there's no legal.
There's no legal limit, so it's, whether it's a $300 item for copier paper or a $2.5 million turkey, well, that's a legitimate thing to stick into the consent agenda to be approved without any discussion?
I made my response. If anyone else has anything.
Yes,
else,
I guess is your response?
No, my response was what I said prior, which is that there's no legal impediment, but you could certainly make a policy discussion on what should or shouldn't be, which you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Regina?
Regina Cristioni, 35 Rambling Brook Drive. I was surprised that we started talking about Haywood Hills Drive and the drainage issues, but just something stuck with me. Does the administrator usually go to the engineer to ask for something like that to be done? Is that the normal process? It just seems out of place for her to go to the engineer for that.
I don't know what the process.
You don't know what the process is?
I don't know if this is standard.
No? Okay, just wanted to check. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
Sorry, my clock didn't start. J&L 18 Ladwood Drive. Mayor Hines, you are actively affiliated with a very profitable nonprofit soccer club in town. You're in the local rags all the time with pictures. You're very proud of it. Several years ago, we had a massive fight with you when, I'll characterize this, you tried to sell the soul of Southern Holmdel with your friends at Capelli Sports, putting in a massive Olympic-like park with 9 competition-grade fields, 80-foot light towers, and even the estimates showed that the overflow from tournaments would have been packing into the streets. A few years back, you were sued by residents because you wanted to put a turf field at Cross Farm Park with 80-foot light towers, and you were rebuked and embarrassed for that. The idea that Donna, this past administrator, came up with this idea for this turf field is ludicrous. This is a charade that's going on here. Why don't you admit you were behind it? You're on record saying you knew about it, and again, we have a witness that said you knew about it, and then you're also on record saying you knew nothing about it. There's proof, there's video. You are not fit to be mayor of this town. Why don't you step down before this gets worse? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Okay. Ron?
Ron Emma, 32 Ladwood Drive. This might be a bit premature, but obviously there's some concerns about the township administrator. My question is, if in fact this goes the way it looks like it's going to go, have you talked about, or is there a process in place where the township would take remedial actions against Donna Viero for clawback of the golden parachute?
I can't offer any comment in any way on that topic.
Has the council discussed such a process, or?
Any discussion on any topic of that nature would be discussed in executive session, and it would be a violation of my privilege to confirm or deny anything that you're asking about.
Does any of the committee members think that might be a good idea?
I think we're weighing all options after the end of the meeting on the 23rd.
Anyone else care to comment?
I'm waiting for the investigation to be continued because I'm not so sure it's going to go in the way you're thinking. Might not.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, man in the back.
Janet Nisi, 7 Country Squire Lane, Holmdel. As you know, I come to a lot of these meetings, so I've seen a lot of the things go on here. As a resident, I do not understand how any of this happened. I do not understand how an administrator can make those decisions. Now, either it's going to come out that she alone made the decision, which is ridiculous. As a resident, I don't understand how that can happen. Or it'll be that she didn't, and she was told by someone, she was directed by someone. I don't understand that either. So, as a tax-paying resident, this is very disturbing to me. What was also very disturbing was this $200,000. If there was even the slightest doubt that this administrator had an issue, how could it be that we had to lay out $200,000 for her? I worked for a company for 20 years, and when I retired, I got a 6-month payout. That's nowhere near $200,000. I do not understand how she could have been paid this. I understand it's a personnel issue. I'm not asking you to comment. I'm just commenting that I think it's ridiculous.
And that's your right to comment, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no further questions or comments, we have a motion to adjourn. Enjoy your night.